let's do it. Let's hit the books, part of the Hammer Betting Network. Hopefully to be alongside the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who can't figure out a microphone, Mr. Joey Knish, our producer extraordinaire behind the controls, frustrated as usual, Zach Phillips. I am merely Brad Powers. Before we talk and recap last night's games, the unfortunate start to the season as far as our best bets, let me remind everybody that Hit the Books is brought to you by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is to use multiple sports books and always get the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Download the app today. If you're looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/hitthebooks or hit the link in the description. If you sign up through this page, it does help support the show. And guys, always make sure you're smashing that like button for those of you watching live. And speaking of live, I just told Zach after 10 minutes, I'm like, man, I can do it solo if we have to. We got so many people waiting in the chat room, probably want to get after us. There he is. 12 minutes late, buddy. Time, man. I was worried. You're a guy that I didn't know if you could face the music here, man, because when we're going to be, facing our own medicine, taking some medicine here after our start. So, how's the mic situation? I don't see a new mic, man.
Let's just say we had to sell the mic that Pizza Man got me to pay for the Gophers' loss last night. So unfortunately, no, little bit of connectivity issues here. We're working through it, but we wouldn't miss it, baby. No worries. We got it together. Outside of that PJ Fleck offense, everything else is at least we're still here.
So hopefully next time we see you, we will have a new mic. But let's just dive into it. Obviously we started 0-4. I'm happy with as far as the CLV that we got. We've gotten in front of a lot of good information. If I could have one bet back, it would be the Minnesota game, because that was poor. I mean, forget Minnesota winning. They shouldn't have won the game. I mean, when you can't cover a touchdown point spread, you're +3 turnovers, you hold your opponent to 10 points, and you can't cover a 7-point spread, that was as bad as it gets. Not only getting dominated at the line of scrimmage, which was totally unexpected as far as I was concerned. I thought Kaliak-Manis was horrific. I know Jeff Sims getting all the headlines for his turnovers, but I'm here to tell you, Kaliak-Manis I thought was worse. At least Sims can run the ball a little bit when you need him to. I mean, even on the final 2 scoring drives, Kaliak-Manis, the game-tying touchdown pass was a horrific pass. He needed one of the catches of the year for the guy to drag his foot to tie the game. And then even to set up the game-winning field goal, what can't you do in a 2-minute situation is take a sack. That idiot's taking a sack and almost knocks him out of field goal range. I mean, downgrade Minnesota in a win. That was a big downgrade for me watching them play. And unfortunately, a loser there. And the other game, Florida's bad, man. I'm just here to tell you that offensive line is horrific. Utah was not only down Keithy and Cam Rising, they were down several starters on defense. And that's the effort that you get. That was bad, man. So, I mean, you and I did not have a great night in that regard.
Yeah, no, I mean, on Minnesota, the one thing I thought we could count on in the Minnesota game would be the Gophers running the ball against Nebraska's defensive front, and they just got nothing. And you saw a PJ Fleck offense when they can't generate from the run game is pretty disgusting. Like Cali, man, I mean, it was 5-yard curl route, 7-yard slant, running back out of the backfield. I felt like I was watching just the same passing plays over and over again with no creativity. I mean, credit to Matt Rule for getting that defense, which does not have a ton of talent, able to stop the run and getting them up there. I think takeaway, I'm not particularly impressed with either team. Going away, I wouldn't be feeling too great about either side. Obviously, another close Nebraska loss, but I mean, their defense came into play, so you got to give Matt Rule the credit for getting it up there. And I agree, that wasn't, even though a little bit of CLV on the closing line, that was not the right side there.
No.
The Florida side of I didn't think the passing offense was particularly. Now, I mean, I'll say, I think Graham Mertz in this type of system is a better quarterback than what he was at Wisconsin. They got a lot of youth. Obviously, the offensive line didn't play well. I thought Florida's defensive front held up pretty well. I don't know. My takeaway in that one is a little bit different in terms of, I guess it was more of like, this was a classic like Napier, Florida. They had some turnovers. They gave the game away. I didn't think they got significantly outplayed in that one. And I thought Mertz, outside of, the O-line sacks and turnover, he put up a big stat line. So I don't know. I'm I guess a little bit more, a positive light on Florida than you there. But again, either way to slice it, 0-2 in the record books.
Well, here's what concerns me is I thought the strength was going to be the running backs. Couldn't do anything. Mertz right now looks like the least of their problems. I know you thought the defense held up, and I could see that in the counting stats, but to me, they looked fat and slow up front, especially when Barnes ran that, 3rd and 4 run around the right side for a touchdown. I mean, it's just pathetic. And even when they brought in Nate Johnson, he ran that 27-yard touchdown. I mean, they're chasing him from behind, look like they're, pulling sleds. So we'll see. I mean, Napier, he's up against this roster is not great for being in Florida. No. I don't see a lot of playmakers. I'll just put it that way. But there was opportunities like Zach, before you came on, Zach and I were talking before we went live. Like, I know people, excuses, are for losers as far as the CLV, but it would have played out perfectly. Florida gets a back door, covers what we give out, does not cover the closing line. So it does matter over the long haul. I'm here to tell you. Any other reactions to last night? I'll give you another one that I got wrong. Kent State is really, really freaking bad. Somebody in the chat, where do I have Kent State now in my power ratings? They're right there with FIU, worst teams in the country. No question about it. That was the biggest downgrade from last night was Kent State. I mean, they gave up 700 yards, 9 yards per play. They just look like a high school team.
Some people tell you that UCF, when they can blow somebody up, they like to do it. Yep. But they, so I thought Kent State's offense, at least in the first half, at least had a little bit of life. Their defense was absolutely horrific. It seemed like once they got down third, the air kind of went out of the balloon and they just let UCF run all over them in that one. But I agree. I still think, if you can translate into the maximum of that offense, it might look better. But I mean, that's as optimistic as I can be on Kent State, is that maybe the offense has a little bit of potential. I'll tell you one takeaway from last was, if Devin Leary is the quarterback of NC State yesterday, they lose that game. Like, their entire offense, and we talked about what Jeff Sims did with Nebraska. Yeah. Their offense was Brennan Armstrong being a gamer and creating stuff out of nothing, taking on blockers. He probably took 15 hits in that game. NC State, I thought their offensive line was really poor, got beat up by UConn's defensive front. And what the biggest thing last year was that they didn't have playmakers at the skill positions, and they still don't. I mean, the wide receivers couldn't get a lot of separation. The running backs were not. I'm down on this NC. And there was, I tell you what, there's a look ahead line we talked about a couple of them off there against Notre Dame, and I thought maybe over a touchdown would be good. I don't, after seeing that, I don't think it's going to be good anymore. I don't come away with a lot of positive out of that. I mean, their defense played with, but I didn't have a lot of faith in UConn's offense to begin with. So I'm pretty down on NC State overall, especially offensively after that performance.
We did have a super chat there, 99 cents there from Chef Dare. What is that super sticker? I don't know technology and all this. Do you know what that is?
I think it's like a donate button. We can give it all to Zach. Hey, if you're donating the money we're giving it right to the production crew.
I will say this quickly because I forgot to mention it last time. I did get the chance to meet Zach face to face. Super good dude. I wouldn't say that either. I just wouldn't say nothing. Good kid. He's going places. Very talented, especially having to deal with us. Let's get back to reactions. Technology. One, I know no one watched, especially with the delay. Arizona State's that's going to be a big time struggle this year.
Yeah.
It's not going to be great because I'm here to tell you, I know some of the counting stats, if you're just looking at the box score, they should have won by more. because Southern Utah scored a non-offensive touchdown. A couple of touchdowns for Arizona State were fluky. One was a 50-yard touchdown pass on like 4th and 10, where Southern Utah's got the ball at midfield. If they don't make it, it was, down the field in the end zone. They got a touchdown right before the half. That Haboob dust storm comes in. There's like a penalty of roughing the passer, and they score on the final play of the half. And then there's the delay. They did not look the part at all. So Southern Utah, to put in perspective, is an average FCS team at best. And I know some people were pro Arizona State yesterday.
Yeah, that took
I didn't see it. I already bet Southern Utah in the game first half because I just Arizona State had a couple guys suspended first half, dating back to last year, and then true freshman quarterback first start. I just thought they'd be slow out of the gate. So we'll see. They got an interesting schedule coming up. They got Fresno State, Oklahoma State, two teams that I'm not wild about. But my goodness, if they don't improve dramatically, those are 2 losses even at home for Arizona State. Any other games catching your eye? I'm trying to think. There's just a bunch of FCS stuff.
I would say the Missouri QB competition's already over. Week 1, Brady Cook came out, looked really good for South Dakota. Second half, they gave it all to Sam Horn. He was not good. Threw a pick there. Got you. I know. I saw you at South Dakota yesterday. Got a nice cover on that one with.
Fortunate.
Yeah, with Missouri's that second half offense with Mr. Horn did not look particularly good. Tulsa got off to the final score did not indicative of how that game played out versus the worst FCS in Pine Bluff and the worst. I mean, it was 7-0 Pine Bluff early. They had another drive. So I think it's good. They were not impressive yesterday, even though 42-7 final. UAB, Jared Zeno, 38-41, baby. Alabama, Trent Dilfer. I tell you what, the Alabama birdie. Don't sleep on our boys there from Alabama.
He ran the cover play late.
That could be a little bit of a one year left in the tank there. And I think that was all I had from some of the minor games there, other than Georgia State, Rhode Island, Georgia State. Phenomenal game to watch. The defense for Georgia State, a little bit of a rough one there. So, but that was a nice back and forth. But overall,
Rhode Island should have won the game outright.
I agree. They had that crazy pick in the end zone. That was like a Sports Center top play for Georgia State, or they could have won that game. So, yeah, there was some wild results yesterday. But I think your takeaway was still Arizona State. Really, really a struggle there. So, no, I'm with you.
And you wonder with what went down, can't go to a bowl game. If they suffer some losses early, what is going to be that motivation? They're already building for the future, starting Rashad at quarterback. It could be if they lose a couple of these home games coming up. They start the season with 4, I believe, in a row. I just think it could get really ugly there. Let's start turning our attention towards tonight because we do have some games going on tonight. We'll start off with the Battle of Miami. Who's the real Miami? Miami, Florida. Against Miami of Ohio. A little bit of money coming in on Miami of Ohio. Totals down. I respect that money on that under there. But now, it was trading mainly 17 all summer. Now we're 16.5 with the, Tyler Van Dyke. Will he play? Will he not play? If he does play, is he going to be 100%? Have you gotten too involved here? I know when the Van Dyke news was breaking and I wasn't sure if he was going to play or not, I took a ham sandwich on Miami of Ohio. But other than that, I got nothing.
Yeah, that was some early total steam there, but I agree. This one's sitting right now. I just saw a 15.5 pop up on there.
I wanted to take Miami originally.
I was with you on that, and then obviously some of that Van Dyke. I don't know how there was some conflicting reporting of how good that Miami of Florida info was on the Van Dyke injury. So I'm not sure if that one is a little bit of coach speak. He's fine and all good, but this is one It's really asking a lot. I'm still have PTSD from last year's Miami of Florida offense in terms of what it looked like. So I'm a little sketchy here, of laying a number. Even though that's the only side I could play that now at 16 or better, it would be just a lean on Miami of Florida for me. Even though Van Dyke questionable new offense, MAC team going on the road here versus a team with a lot of talent. Yeah. I think they could have a C effort and still get to the window on that one.
And I think they upgraded at both coordinator positions.
Agreed.
For as bad as that coaching staff was last year, I do think Cristobal should have gotten it right this go around. We'll see what happens there in a week 1 situation. A game that I don't think either you and I have too much on. Louisville, Georgia Tech. I think it's a really good game as far as learning about what these two teams are going to be this year. You got two first-year coaches. It's been sitting relatively 8 all summer. A little bit of money on Georgia Tech, down to 7.5. A lot of money on the under from early on in the summer, but I haven't seen too much movement there. Anything on this game, Louisville, Georgia Tech? I don't have a bet on the side.
No, I mean, this is literally been a 7.5, 8 for like the entire 6 months. I think that 7 popped originally, got bought up, and now it's basically in that range. Gun to my head would be a lean on the Georgia Tech play here. I think there'll be a little bit of transition cost in Louisville, like what Brenke's done, but talent-wise, it's not a huge competition here in terms of who's got the better roster. But I don't know. I agree. It's kind of like a watch and learn game here. Nothing for me in terms of like wanting to get too heavily involved.
All right, the next 2 games, I'm intrigued to get your thoughts on because maybe we can get some action on that one. What do you think of the Central Michigan State game? It's in your neck of the woods. I don't like Michigan State this year. I actually bet Central Michigan's win total over. With that being said, my power rankings say Michigan State's the play. I'm not sure that Central Michigan can take advantage of Michigan State's defensive weakness, that being the secondary, which has been the case the last couple of years. I just don't know if they have the passing attack. They certainly didn't at the end of last year. And I hate the quarterback situation at Michigan State, but I just think they can line it up and just pound it at Central Michigan. A lot of sharp money, including Mr. Horseshoe, is on Central Michigan. I'll say this because he's poking fun at me on Twitter. Guys, you don't need to buy his package. There he is. He's looking right at me. Oh, my goodness. You don't need to buy. They got to pay. Well, I can tell you, you don't have to pay Fezzik to figure out what his package is. He's just betting all unders and all underdogs. Kudos to him. He's killing it right now, but he's on Central Michigan. I don't see it. What say you?
I bet some Sparty 13. There's 13s around right now. 13. It went back up to 14, 14.5.
Are we gonna give it out as a pick?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I agree with unless the Central Michigan offense, it's the same guy, it's the same quarterbacks. I don't like Bert Emanuel and this Jace Bauer wildcat back and forth. Maybe they switch it up, they transition into that, but. I mean, that was an offense that I just don't think it's going to work against a Big Ten, like a real. But not that I'm in love with Michigan State or what they have on the field. But I don't think you can operate like that and have success. And I mean, Michigan's. I'm a little like Noah Kim, Caitlin Hauser. I think they're both going to play. I don't think their skill position talent's that bad. Their offensive line coach was a guy that USC really wanted. He's now kind of got some of his guys. So. Yeah, I agree. We're fading a little bit of the game day steam here, but at 13, it's Michigan State for me.
Let's put it in. If you guys, I'll take it.
Sport Trade. Yeah. I mean, we can give the 13.5 widely available, but our boys at Sport Trade over there, 12.5.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah. No, I bet it. In fact, I even laid 14 because I thought it would close above 14. So I mean, if I'm betting that, I got to think there's value. So. Put it down. I was talking to Zach. I was like, sometimes how I solve things is just volume. I feel like I have an edge just instead of picking and choosing. Oh, I like that one. Oh, that handicap has to line up perfectly to give it out. Just if I think there's value, let's go. Speaking of value, I mean, if you got a Hawaii ticket from earlier this summer, you got some CLV. Well, put it that way. 10.5 now down to 3. I got to be totally honest with you. I'm on the other side at this point. I would lay the 3. If I woke up today and didn't know anything, what was going on, saw Stanford 3 against Hawaii, I'm laying 3 with Stanford. Even though I hate Stanford this year, bet under their win total, and they might not be favored in any game this year. I'll lay the outside of this one. Wow, 2.5. Huh. We're Sports Trade New Jersey. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they're in New Jersey. I think they just popped in Colorado too.
Penny's got 2.5. Huh. Do you believe in the penny lean anymore?
Not as much in college football. I think there some of their other markets are like soccer and stuff in a shopper. I'm not particularly keen on it as far as college football in itself, but some others might disagree there. I'm with you. Obviously, we talked about Hawaii and liking Hawaii in the summer and Hawaii some numbers ago. It doesn't help people now unless you were listening to the show all summer. That liked one of that one, but I agree with you. Troy Taylor, I'm kind of I like the staff that's going in. I don't like their roster. I like their staff. I think there's some element of, Hawaii having to go all the way to Vandy, now come back on short rest. So Stanford got to see kind of some of the system in that. I don't know exactly what this Stanford offense is going to look like, and that could be somewhat of an advantage for them against a Hawaii defense that I'm not, particularly keen, even though they were able to, play pretty well versus Vandy. I'm not totally sure what you're going to see from this. This is like one of those where you're going from, a man ball type of skill set to, a little bit of a different system. So, but I agree, just based on the number you got a 2.5 out there. I would have to play Stanford at that.
Is it a go at 3, or are we just going to say cop out and go lean Stanford? Pizza bet Stanford.
I'm more of the lean element.
I'm personally more confident in Michigan State than I am Stanford.
I agree.
Okay. Got that. That's tonight taken care of. Did you do anything? I tweeted this out as soon as they got posted. I mean, I guess hindsight, I could have made some bets, but I thought in the FCS versus FBS tonight, Howard and Kansas were Howard against Eastern Michigan and Kansas against Missouri State. Kansas and Howard being the two sharper plays. They've taken money in the market.
Yeah.
The Canby books earlier this morning had some ridiculous lines. The limits are extremely low. I didn't take part in any of that. But Circa then opened the market and everyone just copied off Circa. And I thought they had relatively good numbers. So that was unfortunate tonight. Did you partake in that? Because I have seen some movement on Howard and Kansas.
Yeah, that was part of that steam there. Open up like both of those, but again, same like those numbers pretty beat up now that we're doing the show. Obviously, those are tough to. And as you said, it's one of those where when Circa opens, though, they're going to open a lot better line than anywhere else that used to open those up. Rest in peace to the one book that used to do that. That we all saw, that we all miss very much because the people that open up at Circa are a lot sharper. So. But yeah, I agree. You know what? Now it's one of the. I would need even at 30. I would need like more of like in the 35 range for a Missouri State play.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think Howard is would still be leans for me at both those numbers now. But we're actually little Michigan State team's going to come in right now based on someone I just saw release. So if you haven't bet that, especially if you got a flat 13, I would bet that 13. Immediately, or that
there we go
12.5 at Sport Trade. So yeah, if you got it at Michigan State, you want to bet that right now.
Yeah, you want to bet there's steam coming on Michigan State. So I love it. We made a good decision there. I already feel better, especially that Blue Horseshoe is really confident because he said how great his Central Michigan pick is tonight. I was like, man, sooner or later the axe is going to fall on that. BK in the chat, Kansas 20.5. Yeah, that's what I saw this morning. I thought it should have been more in the 28 range. I'll put it that way, at least as an opener, a soft opener. So kudos to you. People are betting into them. I'm not. I mean, I know I take the blame for betting openers, but I don't bet every opener, folks. So I not take part in that. Let's move to tomorrow. Anything catching your eye? Again, this is tough week one because I was talking to Zach before you showed up fashionably late like usual, bud. I was saying, man, somebody I thought had a really good tweet. I was scrolling through and said, I just can't wait until week 2 gets here just to look at a different board. Tired of looking at the same games.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I get paralysis by overanalysis. I just don't, I got to get outside my own head on this stuff at this point. I either bet it or I didn't. Just let it go instead of trying to meander, trying to hedge, trying to, come up with a different handicap, dive into something that maybe I didn't. I mean, at this point, a farm terminology, that hay's in the barn or it isn't.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Adam, and what was I playing at the convenience store? Just some off-market numbers, just going around. Yeah, that tells you what kind of life I have. That I'm going to a country, to get a 1.5 of value on some of this stuff. Do we have team totals on the? Does BetStamp have team totals up, Zach? On you got Michigan, East Carolina team total market that you can pull up. I'm not sure it's. Not sure they got those on that. I was looking for it live on the app, but
I'll take a look.
That
43.5 maybe.
So there was, and I know we've talked about we went a little head-to-head Michigan, East Carolina. There's at least some of the shops have East Carolina team total 6.5, even paying some juice there, like -135, -140, -150.
Going over?
Word on the street is both Michigan starting safeties aren't going to play, and potentially their cornerback one, Will Johnson, isn't going to play. So that'd be 3 of the 4 starting secondary guys, and 3 of the 4 good ones. The 4th is a transfer from UMass. So I think they were a little thin at cornerback, a little thin at backup safety, and there might even be a couple other guys on Michigan that aren't going to play in this one. So in terms of how I like it, and I know we went head to head. Hey, I'll take it on the chin, baby, if East Carolina cover. But East Carolina team total over 6.5. I do think they get into the end zone here, and one that I like, quite a bit if you can get that at 6.5. Massive difference between 6.5 and 7.5. There, you want the 6.5, even if you're paying, 10, 20, cents or a little above that. So 6.5, anything -150ish, I'm good on that.
Let me ask you, I know there's no concerns with Harbaugh being out, but how about the combo, Harbaugh and Moore, who's also the OC, who's also the offensive line coach? I think that is a situation where individually, together, now I think it should be worth something. And I'm not saying it's worth 3 points, but I think it should be worth a point or so, them guys not being there, right?
Yeah, you know what? Sharon Moore was the big one. They're going to have Kirk Campbell used to be the OC at Old Dominion a few years ago. So it's not, at least he's got some offensive coordinator experience, but I agree with you. Moore was the guy who was going to, and years past, they've all had these co-OCs. This is the first year where it's just been Moore. So I agree. I think that is worth a little something there. And when you combine that with the injuries, the line, though, is actually, let me see what the curve, there was some, doesn't look like there was like a 37 out there yesterday. There's still 36.5. So, but yeah, I think
going, man. I don't have a good feel for this one. I thought it'd come down to 35. Is it going up? 36.5 is dead.
I cannot imagine it going, back to 37 or even 30. Yeah, that seems aggressive to me. If anything, I agree with you. I think it would come down a little bit. I will Will Johnson is one of those guys that is one of those players, especially in Michigan system, that I think is worth a little something. And then when you factor in both safeties, so yeah, and that isn't too. I think you'll see pregame tomorrow a lot of reports about the Michigan guys that are sitting. I think there's a couple starting, 2 of the 3 starting wide receivers. Cornelius Johnson on offense, Tyler Morris, another guy they were going to try and mix in. Both of those guys might not play. So yeah, if anything, I think you'll see this come down into 35.
Good deal. Thank you, Knish. You just made up for being 10 minutes late, man. I love that. You actually made my night. I like that. We'll see. You'll probably still win our head-to-head. So we'll see what happens there. Michigan State in the chat. Mike jumped to 14.5. I would love to take all the credit for that here on this one, but a very smart individual I would consider probably even better than me in college football but released Michigan State. So I was happy to see that. I like that these kind of been on the same side as me in some of these. A lot of people are betting these dogs, and even last night he took NC State, which is what my number said. So I'm glad to see that from the true originators in college football, not Mr. Horseshoe. Well, let's keep it going. How about the game of the day? Tomorrow, at least. The one that College Game Day is going to be there. North Carolina, South Carolina. I do a deep dive podcast. Going into it, I didn't even have wasn't even thinking about this. It was the last thing on my mind, but I kind of came to the conclusion that maybe the under could be the play here. I know no one wants to bet it with North Carolina, with Gene Chizik's defense, which I can't wait to see those tweets tomorrow night. And you got Drake May and Spencer Rattler, but I think North Carolina's had to change up their offensive game plan without Walker, the wide receiver. Everything out of camp is they're going to use multiple tight ends, multiple running backs. I don't think they run Drake May as much with his draft status on the line. And I don't like the weapons that South Carolina has for the most part. I just don't. They've been banged up so far through fall camp. A sneaky lean for me on the under.
Yeah, the under I saw just got hit there. But it was like 64.5 and some first half under got played. I agree, and you know what? The Tez Walker, I just
got hit. Jesus, I didn't even see that. I'm
sorry.
Yeah,
did you see? Yeah, that was another of our friends' plays. There was the under there. You guys are really in lockstep here on there. But I did, officially Thamel 15 minutes ago. Tez Walker will not play. which, I mean, I don't want to go on one of these rants, but like,
Oh my
what a
God.
disgrace the NCAA
Yeah.
is in turn. Like, the kid goes back to, like, wants to be close to his family, can't get a waiver to play, and then you don't find out officially until the day before the game. They couldn't get I mean, just unbelievable. But no, but I will say, I agree with that. This under is a little bit of the understeam here. I played
Yep.
some South Carolina. I don't think threes of it. Looks like painted 2.5 now. But even then, I was on a little bit of a South Carolina lean here. But again, we have a different, I know we went head to head in the UNC regular season win total. I'm a little down on UNC relative to market. Not that I'm super bullish on South
Yeah.
Carolina, but it was a small play on South Carolina for me, and obviously the under taking some steam as we speak.
I did not know that was the case. I see it now. Do we want to go under 63.5? Because it's going to close 63 or lower, in my opinion.
Yep. No, I'm with you there. For a
Lock
play,
that
we put
one
it
in. There we go. Under 63.5. I agree with that one. That was kind of the conclusion I got coming out of that. I wish I could deep dive every game like that, but yeah, that's kind of a little bit outside the box there. With no Tez, I think that's even better there. So that's good. Any other games catching your eye? We saw Virginia of all teams took a little bit of steam today, coming off of 28. That kind of surprised me. My power ratings are showing some value on Virginia, but man, that line sat 28 all summer.
Yeah.
Didn't budge until I would say a few hours ago. What do you make of that?
Actually, is Hawaii getting more steam as we speak here? As we're
Are
sitting
we
here.
laying 2.5? I think I'll finally hedge back. I think at 2.5.
Yeah, I agree. That was kind of what I was looking for there if I was going to play it. And now 2.5s are widely available. So I'm going to give you the same narrative that I had on UCF Kent State. I'm going to say with Tennessee Virginia here, and it's that I don't want I hate Tony Elliott and what they're doing.
Oh,
The other thing is just Tennessee's the same thing as UCF, where it's like, if I'm an overmatched team going against them, I think they're just going to, and they've got that super 5-star freshman kid where after Milton comes in, if it's a 3-4 score game, they're going to want to get him some run and keep running the same offense. And you saw with UCF, they brought the backup in. They didn't slow down. They didn't stop. They punched in a TD up 44 to win it by 50. I mean, yesterday's game took under money all. We didn't touch on early. Some wild market movement yesterday in like that Utah Florida game. I don't know if I've seen trading back and forth like that for a game. I mean, it was between 3.5 and 6 just flying around. But yeah, that's one that I agree. I would not jumping to lay Tennessee here just based on as you said where the rating is, but it's one I just hate fading that type of team when you're pretty overmatched. And I don't know what Virginia's offense is going to look like here. Not that I'm a huge Joe Milton guy either. But that's one that I just kind of had on the radar to stay away from. I will say one that I'm now we talked about it during the summer. And I think both of us even played some Colorado State. It's two-pronged. The Washington State and this under move. When this got to 9.5, 10, and 54, I kind of like the over more than again. Sport Trade out there trading a 9.5, bunch of flat 10s. There's a flat 54 at Chris. That's one to me. I'm gonna know a little. I think this has moved a little too far on the side in the total. What about your thoughts on this one now?
I agree. And I'm Mr. Colorado State in this game. I think it's almost too popular.
It is the classic like too popular side there. And again, now if you got 16, 14.5, any of those, I would not be betting Colorado State anymore, especially at this number. And I'm almost if it gets popped under 10 there.
I'm playing back Washington State at 9.5. No question about it. If again, it's another situation where if I woke up game day morning and saw Washington State 9.5, that's the bet I'd be making. So I think we see more of that. I don't see any resistance. I haven't seen any resistance on this game. It's just been one way all summer, Colorado State. I don't know if it stops because then you'll get all these people that like to follow the steam. They'll come out with their picks and whatnot, and they'll be taking bad numbers. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. I also agree with the over. I like this Arbuckle kid for Washington State. I think he's a future superstar as far as an offensive play caller. He's like 28 years old. Might even only be 27. So, and I like Colorado State's offense going to be improved. Hopefully. I mean, they have to be, or I'm, even my 17 ticket's going to be dead. So, do we want to put the over in? What do you want to do there, man?
At 54, I'm an overbuyer there. I just think both offenses should be able to.
54 and a half or 54?
Is there? We got a flat? I mean, a flat 54 there. I played some 54. If we got to do 54 and a half, I'm in on it while we're on the air. So that
we'll go over 54 and a half. Yeah, that was one where I originally wanted to play the over. I thought it would get open up around here, but it opened up high 50s. I even saw it maybe even touch 60 throughout the course of summer. So, all right, there we go. Make sure, guys, if you're watching right now, hit the like button. We're 25 from 100 back-to-back shows. We got our first 100 likes during last show. Let's try to get it here. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Any other games? I know I've been rambling a little bit here.
Matt, you know what? You just mentioned it. I heard you talk about it a little bit on when you did the Circles Off episode. I agree. Like, it seems they're like the moves in the market now with a lot of people. It feels like there's more people than ever doing like the top down as it's called now. Market variable. I mean, yesterday I did a bunch of trading on the lower level games, and even some of these you see just the moves now on total sides. It seems more aggressive than years past with less people. I agree with less people actually originating the number and a lot of I almost want to call it like oversized market reactions on some of these plays. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so I agree. Since I run a tout service and whatnot, I think this has become the case for me, especially this year. I think people are overbetting. I started to notice it last year. Overbet my stuff. I think it's the same you could hold true for a Raz, a tailgate tent, if we're talking college football markets. Mr. Muscles, his Telegram channel. I think people are overbetting stuff. I mean, when we give something out, we're saying, that there's some value there, half point, depending on what the number, extreme cases, we think there's a point and a half. It's a total. Maybe we think it's a couple points off, but people are betting this, like they know the final score stuff's, I think, over moving. And I'm going to have to start charting it and see, because there's going to be the haters out there and say, hey, just fade the steam. I don't know if it's necessarily profitable long-term, but man, this stuff's getting moved too much, in my opinion. That's just me personally. I think it's getting overbet. No matter how many times you can bang your fist on the table and saying, bet numbers, not teams. I mean, it does matter. People just aren't listening to it. You give something out -6, it's up to 8. They don't care. They're just still betting it.
No, I'm with you there. Like, I just say, I agree. Like, where, if you're subscribed to a service or you're I think people get if they miss the number, if you're giving out 14 at 12 and a half, you shouldn't be betting it. You know what I'm saying? No. But people are still betting it, I think, because they feel like, they want to be on the side, or they have like the FOMO of missing it and that. And then it gets, a pretty extensive moves on some of these where, I don't know, it's just, thing I know, especially totals too, go, moving, 5-6 points or any of that. So it's quite the aggressive movement around. I've noticed in the market yesterday, and just some of the day trading yesterday I saw was just like nothing I remember seeing on some of these games in terms of like day of FBS games with full liquidity, moving back and forth like 2-3 points. Just
what was with the total move on UCF and Kent State? They thought there was going to be weather. I mean, I don't get it. Kent State didn't do the football. I think they cost them 6 times.
There was never any it just was never able to buy. I mean, it started 59 early in the week, and then by kickoff was down to 53, and there wasn't until they never really got back up there. So yeah, I thought there was the early hurricane move, but by game time, I mean, weather seemed relatively fine, but it was still coming down. So yeah, I mean, that was one that closed 53.5 everywhere. It never really got back really any much resistance, and then no matter what number you got, UCF punched in that last TD, and every single number was a loser if you bet any of that under. So Yeah, that was there was some just wild movement yesterday that was pretty insane for a game day.
Brian G in the chat. Virginia Tech minus 15.5, South Alabama plus 6.5. I am part of the Virginia Tech money. Would I play it now at 15.5? Probably not. One thing I still kind of like in that game, I like the over. And I know people are going to be cautious with the new rules about betting overs. I just think Old Dominion brought over the Fordham guy. I think they're going to run some tempo, and I don't think people fully have that fully grasped yet. So I kind of lean over there now at the current numbers, even though I got Virginia Tech in pocket. I'm square, I guess. The market doesn't agree with me on this one, but I kind of lean more towards the Tulane side. I know South Alabama's taking some money. I guess I can't get out of my head the last time I saw South Alabama when I pushed all the chips in on them and they played Western Kentucky and got their teeth kicked down their throat when I didn't even think Western Kentucky wanted to be there. And then I started going through South Alabama's schedule from last year. And yes, they played really well on the road against UCLA. But look who else they played, man. They didn't play anybody in conference play. They avoided all the big boys from the East, and they've lost, obviously lost to Troy. So the three teams the toughest teams they faced last year, they went 0-3. Now they covered the UCLA game, but the other two they didn't. So I don't know, man. I think Tulane. I like Willie Fritz quite a bit. I think he's a really good coach. I think that's the coach that Georgia Tech should hire.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And yeah, those ones like you use the I forget what I don't even remember what the farm reference is now. Hey, there's hay in the barn,
man.
Yeah, well, but whatever it is, like those were games that we'll be able on Monday's show to kind of get a fresh set and a fresh look. Those are numbers that like when it was Virginia Tech 14 and South Alabama. If you were at 7.5, then that was more of a. But I agree. I think a lot of these have been beat up into shape pretty good now.
I would like to see quite a bit of those types of results coming up tomorrow, where the numbers do matter and these do fall in between certain numbers that you could have gotten at certain points in the summer. It makes an originator like myself feel a little bit better about what's going on. DM in the chat. Hey, Brad and Joey, do we like Coastal Carolina against UCLA? I don't know. It's kind of a dead situation there, 15.5, 16. I actually saw money come in on UCLA a little bit today. What worries me is UCLA is going to play multiple quarterbacks, and they're all going to try to impress. I kind of want to bet the under a little bit, but the over money's taking some money there as far as the total. Have you bet I haven't bet the game at all, side or total. It might be the only game tomorrow I haven't bet side or total yet.
No, I haven't. You know what? I haven't touched that one either. It's one that another kind of like watch and monitor one here that I've got on the radar. But nothing. There's one. As you said, there's a couple of games that I'm just kind of leaning to seeing what the team looks like. Where if I didn't have a strong opinion on or didn't want to jump on an early number, I thought would move that. Kind of just wait in a wait and see here approach. Did you add any to your? This total has come down now even more. Did you add any to our West Virginia position?
I am not yet, but come on. I do a West Virginia radio show, and they kind of feed me inside information.
I got what station? I got to listen to the radio.
Yeah, they know gambling, and they know what to feed me, and I've been doing it several years, and I usually have a good read on West Virginia, and they're not homers by any stretch. They give it to me real. They're worried. There's a couple of injuries that they're worried about at wide receiver. They might have to start a couple of freshman wide receiver. That concerns me. The turnovers for Green have been an issue at quarterback. He will be their starting quarterback. Their best defensive lineman has been banged up. They're not sure if he's going to go yet. But my handicap was common sense, folks. Totals down a touchdown from earlier in the summer. Suppressed scoring. Not sure that the market fully has this grasped yet. In that situation, lower scoring. Do you want to be laying 3 touchdowns? Do you want to be taking 3 touchdowns? I want to be on the take. I think South Point, the Hall of Famers, got 21 up. I might bet that tonight. I'll just put it that way. Even though I got a bunch of West Virginia tickets already in pocket at terrible numbers.
Yeah, I was kind of, I was hoping, and this was one I probably should, because I think I got a little gun shy because we fired early. I think I saw a 21.5 pop at one point. It didn't end up with, it was kind of waiting it out. And now it's back to 20.5. I agree. I think it's just the correlation here, the total's down, 10 points from soft open,
Yeah.
6 or 8 points from, the more the bigger open, and the spread's gone up
Yeah.
to 3 touchdowns here, where I think both teams are really gonna, lean on the run game and get this. And with the new rule, I just think, if for Penn State to cover 3 touchdowns here, the West Virginia offense gonna have to score 3 points. So unless our the Penn State offense is a lot better than we think. So yeah, I think it's one that now, if it's under 20, if I see a 21 pop back up, tomorrow or any of that, I'll add a little more.
Let's get to a few more in the chat. BK in the chat, one play to use my risk-free $25. What is it? I got one that's going to make the rounds. It's going to move a lot. Have you heard about this Cal Poly San Diego game yet?
I saw, yeah. I saw what's going on with the San Diego roster there.
Yeah, so there's a hazing situation in San Diego. They had to fire their coach in April. Now, I do like the coach that they ended up hiring, but it's a really bad. Think of Northwestern, but a lot worse. There's rumors that a lot of guys are going to be suspended. Cal Poly's a losing team, but they play in a much better conference. San Diego is a non-scholarship program at the FCS level, so think Mid-American Conference is San Diego. Cal Poly plays basically in the Pac-12. The Big Sky is pretty good conference. I would even argue it's the second best conference. The Big Sky is more like the Big Ten. So, yeah, I kind of like Cal Poly there quite a bit. That's one to use it on. If you're getting it early, it's going to move at least a touchdown. I'll tell you that. Speaking of Northwestern, I saw that was asked in the chat. I'm on Northwestern. I don't know about you, but my thought process is this. Who in their right mind wants to bet Northwestern at this point? Nobody. So, therefore, I think I'm getting it cheap. If nobody wants to bet a team, I think the line should be 4. The total's 39. Again, just go back to it. Suppress scoring, 39. You want to be laying or taking? I want to be taking in that situation.
No, I agree with you there, and that would be, we got a couple people money line round robin. I talked to the godfather of the money line round robin this week, Mr. Sports Cheetah. He's not really in the weeds anymore with college football, but it was good to hear from him. And that's one of those. Northwestern is one that's in my money line round robins. Had that one. Bowling Green around there's some 280 around there. Bowling Green in the one. Yeah, there's a ULM. I seen people asking about ULM Army.
They took money today.
Yeah. Some of those then. So I think when people look at I know I missed the cheetah too for mostly just for the money line round robins. But his strategy was this. You wanted to look at teams where it wasn't like you made it 7.5 and the line 6.5. What type of results or what type of games are going to give you the highest variance outcome? So you look at Northwestern. That's one where the line was 3, it's up to 7. Is it said? Did any of the team parts really change there? Are we sure that Are we sure Rutgers is better than Northwestern? Period. Yeah. Just because of the hazing stuff that's going on. Liberty won again. New coaching staff. Do you think a lot of new players? Are they going to have the turnover versus Bowling Green? Army, ULM, another one. Army, new system. They're going to try and run a little bit of a different offense. It was a pretty big disaster for Navy in game 1.
Yeah,
good to see some of that with Army. So I think that's when you're looking for those money line round robins dogs to play, it's not as much in terms of a little bit of the number value like we do for sides. What type of games are you going to get the highest variance outcomes? I also in one of my smaller ones had some Sam Houston State at a big price. So that's in terms of the game.
My best bets. We got CLV there.
Yeah, just some good CLV there, and that's one of there's some games where you're not what I'm saying, Alabama's not going to lose. Michigan's not. Don't go crazy with the 4, 5, 6 touchdown favorites. But in terms of those teams that are in the 2 to 3 touchdown realm, that was the biggest number that I've put in any of them was Sam Houston State, where I think you could see the highest variance on them from last year with all the guys they rested, upgrading this year, new quarterback versus BYU team that I don't think is very good, frankly.
7.4% CLV. Hopefully that comes true. Especially
hopefully that comes
consider
through.
The totals way down. Another game where we took a big dog, totals gotten pounded into submission. You're not expecting a lot of points. And Sam Houston State's a tough team to power rate. They basically gave up last year.
Yeah.
Just threw last year in the trash. So if this is the Sam Houston State from the years prior, then Mr. Joey Knish had a really good bet there. I'm kind of jealous that he thought of it and I didn't. Good job. You brought your A game today, bud.
I deserved it after not being able to set up a microphone in 2023. So, I did bring the steam to make up for it.
I mean, I like busting balls, but I mean, I've been impressed. Super impressed, man. Kane Cards, Northern Iowa plus 17. Where are you seeing that? Has it been posted? I mean, the best piece of advice I can tell anybody on that one is, Northern Iowa is going to take money tomorrow. It's always price dependent. I mean, who knows what book opens them up? Hopefully Circa doesn't open it up. I'll put it that way. Hopefully somebody copies off the Canby books or something, and we get a higher line. But just to put in perspective, yesterday, I think DraftKings opened Western Michigan 24.5. And I think the next book that opened that lineup was 14.5. You're seeing a lot of that discrepancy. So it kind of depends on what book. I'll tell you at 17, I'm betting Northern Iowa. I think they're live. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm still not. I don't.
Or is it too popular? There it is. Unibet. It's so fuck.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Are all these up?
The soft opens there. No, I saw they had a couple. No, it's just a little bit of a soft open. But no, they. I don't really know what to expect from. I know with all the suspensions and that, but I'm not really 100% sure what to expect. That's one that, like, even when Iowa State had like a good team, they'd always play Northern Iowa like within a field goal. So yeah, we'll see what happens with who actually plays for Iowa State tomorrow.
Drunk Driver H3. We'll just get to a couple more here. Drunk Driver H3. Which book is first mover for FCS versus FBS? I don't know. It changes every damn year. I would have said FanDuel. Most year used to be 5 dimes, and then everybody copied 5 dimes. I know people are making fun of me. Oh, you're betting those low limit 5 dimes. No, you kind of tattled on yourself. They copied the 5 dimes lines. That's why I miss 5 dimes Tony, like the market did.
Right.
That's what it would happen there. No, you could actually get decent limits on those. I don't know. Bet Online has probably been the most reliable. But again, I don't know. Circa one year was the first one. They opened like the day before a couple years ago.
Yeah, though I remember talking to Metcalf about that, and he basically said like they just don't get enough handle to justify doing all the work to open up. Like the only people are betting it are a handful of us in the market that are trying to beat them there, and they're getting like no rec handle. So it's like, what is the point of doing these?
I guess I'm gonna have to look at those FBS versus FCS games tomorrow if Cam. The problem is I am not one. I'm not gonna bankroll shame anybody. People are betting in these Canby lines and making it tougher.
And they are not taking.
They're not taking. I asked around. Like I'm not gonna bankroll shame because I mean if I can get a nickel or a dime on something like that, I'm firing. But I can't. Can't even get that, folks. So it is very low limits there. Anything else catching your eye? Any other best bets? You know what? I'm not gonna talk to you. This game's gonna kick off on Sunday. You got any different thoughts on this LSU Florida State game? I like Florida State. I've come around. I like Florida State to win the game. What say you?
Yep. No, I agree. I was on from Florida State, early in there, and I think you're still 2.5 of them. But yeah, I think I like Florida State there. Think they're live. I'm in lockstep with you there.
One final one for me, and then I'll just give a quick look at the chat. But have you come to the conclusion? Because we got a big face-off again tomorrow, unfortunately for me, because I'm already 0-1 against Mr. Horseshoe. We have Cal and North Texas. Market and Horseshoe are on North Texas. I'm on Cal. What say you? Who's the right side? And you give it to be brutal honest with me.
Yeah, this is the battle. This is the Horseshoe battle of the century here. This is another one where I don't have really. This is going to sound like. I could only play Cal at a flat 6. Like if I'm betting it now, the favorite play was the under many points ago. But as the side, I'm not a believer. I know some people are, down on what could be, potential with Cal's quarterback situation in that. If Sam Jackson doesn't actually win the job, but that could be the only. It could be the only side I'd play there. Would be Cal at this one. But I agree. The Horseshoe. The Horseshoe's gotten the best of it on this one. I'll be rooting for you, though, because the Horseshoes, there's nothing worse than a blue horseshoe victory lap on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I always ask, what's the handicap? 100-degree heat. They're going to melt, Cal. I mean, and then I tweeted, earlier it was Cal disappointed Pac-12. They're sad, is what he said. Sad that they don't have a home. Well, now they got a home. It got announced today. They have a home now. Are they happy because next year they're going to the ACC? All of a sudden, are they happy because they have a future home? Come on, who cares? To me, it's about personnel. And there he is. Man, I'm gonna tell you.
I'll give out.
I'm gonna have nightmares if North Texas covers. He thinks they went outright.
I will give out. Listen, I know we got off to a tough start to the season. These aren't great. DraftKings posted some player props for this game. They have Sam Jackson passing yards at 258.5.
Under.
Let me tell you something. You should log into your DK and bet under 258 passing yards on Sam Jackson there. If you have anything around that number at any of your books, you should bet that under. There you go. 365 DK Sam Jackson under 258 yards. You should bet that, and you should bet it right now if you're listening live and you've liked it and you've given us credit. I will try and give out some tidbits like this that are good. That is a really, really good bet right now if you can get down any on that.
Love it. And we could, keep in mind, guys, we are giving out widely available. If I wanted to inflate a record, I would have Mr. Zach Phillips. We'll run through all them FCS games right now at this camera book. And I'll tell you, I'll bet every freaking one of them lines, and we'll have a profitable Saturday. I'll put it that way. Because, I mean, they're kind of a joke. So if I wanted to do that, we would. But I guess good luck to us. We added a few. I'm pretty happy with the Central Michigan tonight now. When we have some CLV all of a sudden now. Any closing thoughts, man?
No, I'm happy to get into it. Big Saturday. And Grant, I agree with you. Finally good to get into like a full Saturday state and then be looking at a new set next week. Be able to really, I know we've been, it does. It feels like we've been talking about the same game for 6 months because we have. So we can finally get back into it tomorrow. Yeah, Sam Jackson, 253.5, still good. Fire.
Yeah, 253.5. That's still good there. Monday, not only will Knish probably have, I'm going to bet yes, he will have the new mic set up.
I don't care if Pizzolla's got to pay for Zach to fly into Detroit and set it up for me. We will have it ready Monday.
Drew, real quick in the chat, Texas State plus 27.5, wait for 28s, maybe even 28.5. There's been one-way action there. I do think eventually at 28.5, Texas State's the right side there. I want to mention 9 a.m. Monday morning, I'm going to start doing the release show, and we're starting to get in front of some of these lines, so I will do that. But if you want the star of the show, Knish, you're going to have to wait till 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
I heard you were doing this. It's 9 a.m. Pacific, right?
No, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, well.
So
you're waiting.
I kind of wanted to do it to piss everybody off because I know people are going at like 10 a.m. They're going at noon. I just said, nah, whatever. I mean, I already get so much hatred. Might as well go. I'm not going to give out 15, but I will give out more than one. I'll put it that way. Probably a couple a week. We'll see how it goes. Always depends on the card. That should do it for the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joey Knish, producer extraordinaire Zach Phillips. Guys, for all the show updates, make sure you're following at Hit the Books HQ and at the Hammer HQ on Twitter. Make sure you're subscribed to the Hit the Books YouTube channel. We appreciate the support. That'll do it. Good luck with your bets on week 1 college football. That was Hit the Books, part of the Hammer Betting Network.